What is up, guys? Today we're reviewing the Artisan Tradition Small. Yeah, that was a weird way to put it in my hand, but hello, this is Carlos EDC, and yeah, hang on tight. We're reviewing this thing. So first off, I want to do some size comparisons because I kind of like the size of this knife. PM2 right here, about the same blade length, but the Tradition seems to be a lot smaller overall. This is the ProTech Sprint smaller knife that I really like. There's 2-inch cutting length, and this is 3, just under 3. We'll do some measurements right now. But as you can see, it's a very blade efficient kind of knife. Just one last size comparison. This is the Kaiser Dukes. This is going to be on my review table again pretty soon. Subscribe if you want to see that. Sneak peek. It's a good tool. But just one more size comparison. This is the Zebra F701. So we'll just measure that really quickly. Cutting length is right under 3 inches, as you can see. But the blade is about 3 inches. So yeah, you lose a little bit of cutting length because of the sharpening choil. Overall length would be 7 inches. About an eighth more, 7 1/8 inches. So that would put the handle length at 4 inches. It's about an inch wide and less than a 1/4 inch thick. And as for weight, it is 3.3 ounces. Honestly, this knife on my pants feels like it's not even there. It's not really a heavy knife. It's not a big knife, but it is a pretty good tool. We will start the review with the positives. So in the positives, this thing cuts, okay? So it's got a pretty thin blade. So as you can see, it's a little bit thicker than the ProTech Sprint, the same as the PM2, but the blade ergonomics are really nice, and the blade, the sharpening portion was done by Ohano Knife Lover. So Nick did that sharpening. So okay, the thing about measuring stuff behind the edge. I'll be back. I need some piece of paper. So okay, you have a knife, right? And it comes down like this, and then it has the sharpened edge right there, right? So if you measure it here, it gives you some random number. We'll say 8, right? But if you sharpen it and you give it a more acute angle like this, then obviously you went up on the metal. Therefore, you would be measuring behind the edge here, giving you a greater number, let's say of 10, right? So measuring behind the edge, in this case, the second case is sharpened case, it would give you a number greater behind the edge because you went up on the blade geometry. So if you measure behind the edge when somebody already sharpened the knife, it's a disservice to the knife. So it's not just about measuring behind the edge to see if the knife slices. Like, the knife slices because of the blade geometry and the way it was sharpened. Also, shout out to Ohio Knife Lover. His name is Nick. He sharpened this thing, and I just touched it up real quick, and it was beautiful. Obviously, I'll put some cardboard testing, and you guys see what I'm talking about. But just measuring behind the edge, it's a cool thing to do on a review, but I don't necessarily 100% agree with it. I think it is a good number to be looking at it, but we should also be looking at the angle, sharpening, just the overall geometry of the blade. Sorry about that, but it had to be said. The other thing I want to say, the blade shape is really useful. It's got a bunch of flat, some belly, and the point is really nice. Again, it's really manageable in terms of length, just under 3 inches of cutting. Another positive is it has a really good sharpening choil, which I'm sure Nick appreciated. Another positive is it's a pretty sterile blade in terms of writing. And on this side it's pretty hidden. The logo's there, but you know, it's not too bad. And actually the anodize came from EDC 11, who made a small pass around, and ultimately this knife is gonna go help out a friend, which is pretty cool. It's a hidden positive of this knife alone. But the anodization came out pretty cool. The plain titanium looks nice as well. We will run you about $150 for a titanium frame lock with all the bells and whistles, like a good action, which is another positive of this thing. The action on it is very fiery, and it just has the right amount of blade weight behind that action. Not too heavy, not too small, just very well. Ergonomically speaking, it's good to go. I wish I had the bigger version. This is the Tradition small. There's a version where the blade length is almost 4 inches, and obviously you get more handle as well. But this one, as a smaller knife, under 3 inches, it's good to go. My index falls right in there, my middle finger falls right in there, and the 2 leftover fingers fall right on the handle. And yeah, it feels like it's not coming out of my hand. This little groove right here, and my thumb fits in there just beautifully, which I really appreciate. And then the palm of my hand just feels good about it. There's a little bit of hot spottiness because of the square pocket clip, but I mean, I'm okay with that. It's good ergonomics. Aesthetically speaking, it's a good looking knife. A little tiny bit reminiscing of XM18s, but there's only so many ways you can design a knife, I believe. But it's good to go. It's a lanyard, a little thing. It looks okay. It's out of the way. It's not so much there. The artisan cutlery lettering on the back spacer. I just find that aesthetically pleasing. I just find that really nice. The pocket clip is not deep carry, but it is nice. Not every knife needs a deep pocket carry, so this is about all you see, with a little bit of an angle actually, out of your pocket, which is, I think, good to go. Not every knife needs to be a super deep pocket carry. I didn't mind it on this knife, and it's kind of nice looking with the ano and the blue screws and the silver. So it's kind of like pocket jewelry. You want to show it off a little bit even outside of your pocket, but that might not be you. And obviously you can't buy this ano. You'd have to buy the gray one, and I know there's different colors as well. Another positive of this knife, which is very common nowadays, but it's got the over travel stop, which means there's a little disc on this frame lock part that stops you from pushing this over too much. It's just a little over travel disc. That's why those 2 screws are there. Also has a locking insert, which means the steel from here is touching with I think the same type of steel down here. So it uses S35VN with S35VN so that you don't rub 2 different metals together. Again, bearings, which is another modern thing. 3D printed titanium pocket clip. It's got all of the modern things. This knife, it has everything you would want out of a modern knife. My sticker's trying to sneak in here. We'll just let them in. But okay, in the negatives, I wish it was a little bit bigger, but that's just my bias. I wish this was either a smaller sharpening choil or a full-on finger choil so that I could choke up. This knife would be a lot better if I could choke up on it, but then I would lose some blade length, which so yeah, I wish I had the bigger one. So that's my bias. Another one, the protrusion of this screw bothers me. The ergonomics are fine, but for some reason just feeling this screw on my pinky just bothers me psychologically. It's not a big deal though. I don't like, but they changed this recently. Artisan no longer using these lines, and they changed their logo as well, but they're a little bit reminiscing to me from other symbols. So other than that, yeah, I wish it was a little bit deep pocket carrier. Maybe instead of having that screw, these 2 can move up a little bit, and just a little tiny bit more deep carry would be great. I'm not talking about full-on Spyderco wire clip on a PM3 lightweight type deep, but just a little tiny bit deeper. The action's good to go. Everything else is good to go. It's hard to find too many negatives on this knife. The price at $150, you're competing with a lot of freaking knives at $150. So maybe, if you could shave that down a little bit. But we could say the same thing about a lot of knives and a lot of brands, that they could lower the price a little bit. Overall, it's a good knife. Who would I recommend it to? Anybody who's looking for a nice full titanium knife and has $150. I'm like, hey, you should look at an Artisan Tradition. Those are pretty cool. The knife is functional, it's fidgety, it's good looking, it fits well in the hand, it fits well in the pocket. But most people will be like, well, I need deep pocket carry. And then I'd be like, well, you gotta go look somewhere else, because that's not this thing. Is it the full enchilada? I don't think so, but it's so freaking close. I'd like to check out the bigger size, but you know, times are tough right now, so that probably won't happen. Still, thank you guys for watching this review. I was Carlos EDC, and this was the review of the Artisan Tradition Small. So this little knife is gonna go over to Vern Dog on Instagram. Pretty cool guy. Recently he was in the hospital again, getting another brain cancer surgery, and he's gonna raffle this or auction it or something, so that he can take care of some of those medical bills or med bills that he has. And I just want to thank EDC 11 for thinking about that and thinking about somebody in the community. Super cool guy. He's modding knives right now, and he's just an excellent individual. But this was Carlos EDC. You can subscribe by pressing a button that looks just like my sticker right here. This is a video YouTube recommends, and this is a playlist usually. But everybody, please stay safe and have a good day.